Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. I'm male, 26. I haven't really been that close to my brother ever since he betrayed me by sleeping with my girlfriend. Of course, it takes two to tango, and I don't put the complete blame on him for what happened in high school. But he was one of the parties responsible, and him being my brother hurt me more than a girl sleeping with another guy behind my back. My brother is 2 years older than me, and we were really tight as kids. I always looked up to him and was babied by his friends' circle. He was one of those cool brothers you can be proud of, and I didn't leave a single chance to show him off. I never imagined he'd backstab me the way he did. I wouldn't have held a grudge so badly and for so long if he had been the one to come out and confess. I found out about them cheating on me from my ex-girlfriend's best friend. The girl asked me to dump my girlfriend and instead go out with her. But when I told her I'm loyal, she used the truth as some sort of weapon to hurt me. She told me how my high school girlfriend only went out with me so she could get in on my brother, who was a senior and popular at our school. She had a crush on him since our freshman year, and I was just a way in. She has been making moves on my brother all this time, and he didn't do anything to shut her attempts down. Now, obviously, something like this was hard for me to believe, especially when it involved a brother I admired. I hoped to God the best friend was lying. But at the same time, I became overly cautious whenever both my girlfriend and brother were at our house together. Because I was suspicious, I was able to catch them cheating red-handed and confronted them about the whole affair. My brother said that's the first time it happened, and it was a mistake because he didn't know about the best friend telling me about their affair already. My very pissed self was able to get the truth out of my girlfriend, and I came to know they'd been at it for a month when I caught them. My brother did apologize to me after that, but we were never on the same terms as before. Our parents knew something was up between us as I was no longer on talking terms with him, but they didn't ask too many questions and left us to make up on our own. I did try to forgive him for it, but every time I saw him around the house, I'd remember nothing but his lies. I didn't stop avoiding him or walking out of a room he was in until he left for college after graduation. Over the next few years, we gradually started talking, but the brotherly bond wasn't there. At this point, we were in each other's life only because we were blood related. When I found out that he's getting married, I had no plan of attending it. But I guess he must have felt some amount of guilt and saw his wedding as a chance to smooth things over and have a new beginning because he insisted I attend and be his best man. I was pissed that he could have the audacity to ask me this after what he did and told him there's no way I'll be able to perform a best man's duties and he should ask someone else. But he kept insisting over and over again until I gave in just to shut him up. I saw my opportunity when it was time for me to plan the wedding. Now, normally, it would have been the wedding couple that plans their own wedding. But it's been a tradition in our family that best man and maid of honor takes care of everything while the couple gets to relax and enjoy the most important occasion of their lives. I found myself juggling everything from the arrangements to the finances and barely had time to even think about my feelings. But while going through the budget, I saw that his accounts and the money I've been taking out has some shady stuff. My brother insisted on giving me cash instead of a credit card and asked me to pay for everything with cash. Of course, paying thousands of dollars in cash was shady sounding, not to mention incredibly uncomfortable and unsafe. So I followed my instincts and decided to find out why he'd do something like that. I ended up asking a friend of mine for help and did a little digging on what was going on. I found out that a brand has sponsored his company and he's laundering money for them secretly. I wasn't even surprised anymore. It's been a long time since I felt close to him, and I've known from personal experience that he's capable of crossing limits and breaking rules. This was just one of the many lines he must have crossed, and I wasn't going to let him get away with this one too. So I used the opportunity to take my revenge. I talked to my friend who helped me, and we were able to get the financial records that my brother keeps as proof to give to the cops. This is where it gets complicated because I was so pissed at him that instead of calling the cops right away, I waited for the moment that would humiliate him the most. I reported on him the day of the wedding and gave the address to the venue to the officer who took my call. They verified the report as true and arrested him in front of the entire family and other guests. The humiliation he felt must have been incredible. And it wasn't limited to him because his fiancée was pissed at him. I heard her throwing stuff in her dressing room after the cops took him away, and the next day she broke up with him and called off the wedding. I am actually glad that he gets to feel what it's like to mess up with someone's relationship, but I feel a little guilty because it doesn't stop here. He's lost his fiancée, his job, and his respect all in one fell swoop. Does doing this make me an a-hole, or did he have it coming for the things he did in his life? Even if I had decided to turn a blind eye to the money laundering, there was still the matter of him cheating with my high school girlfriend and forcing me to be his best man when I clearly said, I'm uncomfortable with that. I visited my parents today after what happened at the wedding. They were furious with both of us. They did know we had a falling out in high school, but we didn't tell them the full extent of it. Finally, they had it enough with me refusing to loop them in, and my dad told me to either come out with the truth or he's going to disown both of us. The threat wasn't anything serious because no way would he do that, but it's about time I told them why exactly I hate my brother. So I told them why we ended up fighting and why I did what I did at the wedding. Naturally, knowing the reasons behind what happened didn't make them any less angry, but we're grown-ups, and they decided not to interfere in our lives any more than absolutely necessary. But Dad did say that I've gone ahead and messed up badly because no matter what my reasons were, the revenge crossed the line this time. He said I shouldn't have humiliated him in front of the entire family and should have dealt with the matter quietly. They also didn't take my brother's side, though, because of how he got involved in illegal dealings, and that in itself is embarrassing for both of them. Before I left my parents' house, they had made it pretty clear that disowning or removing us from the will is an option on the table, and he's not above doing something like that. I'm actually pretty pissed right now because I don't think I deserve to hear an earful when I'm an adult and not even responsible for my brother's behavior. So my brother was bailed out by his friend who I know was in on the shady things my brother did, but unfortunately I couldn't find any evidence of him. Of course, I didn't look hard enough as I had no revenge as motivation to go after him. My brother called me, and boy, he was mad. I won't even begin to write some of the words he used to describe what kind of person I am in his opinion. But I'm sure you all can guess that. Apparently, the company had no idea the brand was using him for money laundering, and it is fully collaborating with the investigation. They have refused to support either party and even filed a lawsuit of their own against them. My brother was in the financial management team, so of course everything he touched must be under compromised documents, and that means extra work for the company workers. Of course, they aren't happy and want their own payback for this trouble. All in all, things aren't looking good for my brother, and I don't think he'll be able to come out of this in any safe way. To be honest, I'm starting to feel a little bit of guilt for ruining his life. Now that I think back to it, my relationship in high school wasn't even that serious, and the bitter feelings I held onto for so long were more because of my ego. But what's done is done, and there's no point in feeling sorry or looking back. His trial is ongoing, and I'll update here once the ruling is out. I know it's been a long time since an update, but everything was so chaotic that it took a long time. The friend that bailed my brother out was also incriminated in the end and is being prosecuted. In total, they had laundered more than $200,000, and that qualifies as felony. But because my brother was only one of the people who knew about it, and mind you, he wasn't the main person here, he ended up getting 4 years in prison and a fine of $50,000. The friend of his is looking towards the same sentence. But that's not the extent of it, because the lawsuit that his company filed against him ended up giving him 16 months of community service in addition to the prison time he was given. And he'll have to pay an additional fine of $30,000 to the company. I did visit him in prison once, and it wasn't a good memory. He got pissed and started cursing me. I don't know why I even went there or what I was hoping to achieve. I guess it was just because I felt bad. But yeah, that's that. I don't think I'll update here anymore unless something major happens. NTA. I don't think you're an a-hole for wanting revenge, but you definitely crossed the line here. But considering your brother is a criminal, I don't feel any sympathy towards him either. EAH. I get your reasons for wanting revenge, but what you did was too much. On the other hand, your brother deserves to be punished for illegal activities, so I think you're both just a-holes. My wife and I have 5 kids. Elise, 17, Michael, 14, Andrew, 10, Rachel, 7, and Lily, 5. I have to go on at least 2-3 business trips a month. If I'm going somewhere for one day or a weekend, I invite Elise. I do this because Elise only has 3 classes and her school allows you to do everything online. Plus, she's the only kid that I trust to be alone in a hotel, wander around the city, depending on the area. I've been doing this since she was 15, although back then the rule was that she couldn't leave the hotel unsupervised. And she's gone to New York, Miami, Orlando, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Houston, New Orleans, Seattle, Boston, and she's even gone to Hawaii and Mexico for a week during the summer. I took Michael to Vegas with us in June to see how he did, and Elise said it felt like she was babysitting the entire time, yet he still managed to get in trouble. He tried to sneak into casinos, tried to buy alcohol, tried to get other people to buy it for him, and didn't do any of his summer school work. I told him we'll try again when he's older, but as of now, he can't travel with us. Elise and I are going to Europe for 3 weeks. This is the first time I've let her miss this much school, but I think the experience will be great for her. Plus, she knows she has to do all of her schoolwork before leaving the hotel, so she won't be behind when she goes back to school. Michael asked to go with us, but I refused. Last time I took him anywhere, he refused to do his work and broke almost every rule that I gave him. I don't trust him on another weekend trip close to our house, never mind halfway across the world for close to a month. He accused me of playing favorites because Elise always gets to go on fun outings. But it's because she's never broken my trust. She always does her homework before going out, and she doesn't go crazy with my credit card. I'm going away for a weekend again, and my wife wants me to try again and see if he's responsible enough to go, but a weekend trip is nothing like 3 weeks in another country. He's just not old enough for this kind of trip. My son thinks I'm playing favorites, and my wife thinks I need to give him another chance, so I wanted to get an outside opinion. AITA? For everyone saying I need to give him a second chance. I did give him another chance when he was 15, same age Elise was when she was allowed to travel with me. NTA, perhaps your son can earn a second chance, but that should be on a significantly shorter trip and one with a destination that's closer to home. Taking him on a 3-week European trip after the way he behaved on his first trip is just asking for a complete and utter disaster to happen. NTA, 3 weeks in Europe is an entirely different thing than a weekend trip in the US, and something even your oldest didn't get to do at that age. She is older and has shown during multiple weekend and week-long trips that she can be trusted to complete her schoolwork and behave on the trips. Tell your other kids that at 15, they can start going on trips with you, and if they demonstrate they are responsible, and if work provides the opportunity, they will be allowed to go on longer international trips when they are seniors in high school. That way, it is clear that it is not about favorites. It's about age and demonstrated maturity. It has the added bonus of limiting the number of trips where you are taking more than one kid at a time, which means the older kid on the trip doesn't get stuck feeling like they're responsible for their younger sibling. You do have to be upfront with your kids, though, that your job may change in the next 8 to 10 years, so these trips are not a guarantee, which sucks, but that's just how life works sometimes. One of my good friends, Katie, decided to have her bachelorette party in NYC. I live here. And wanted me to work with Allie, her bridesmaid, to help plan the trip. I was honored to help plan, but very early on I realized that Allie and Katie had grand expectations. Their dream night was going to top-tier nightclub without waiting in lines or spending a dime and basically being treated like models. I don't think any of them have really gone out in the city with a big nightlife club scene like Miami, New York, LA. The closest was Nashville and Austin, which are big on nightlife, but not so big on nightclubs. I tried my best to set expectations, but in the group chat, they kept posting about the most executive spots. And when I posted the reasonable spot, they were like, that's chuggy. I will say this. I just turned 31, and despite myself being tall and skinny, on certain nights, even I get turned away depending on the artist performing. And a lot of Katie's friends were on the curvier side and dressed like they live in the suburbs. I told Katie and Allie, let's have a backup plan in case we don't get in. There are tons of clubs we can guarantee to get into, but they said no. They said they know how to dress classy and that they'll be fine. Well, we went out and even got there early and things were going bad. The doorman let other groups of girls go before us, despite them being behind us in line. And when he finally did, he talked to us. He was like, hey, we're all full from reservations, but we do have a table with a min spend of $2,000, and I get that as a sign to leave. But then Katie and Allie start arguing with the doorman, and they're like, those other girls, they didn't have reservations. And the guy is like, look, I'm sorry, but other spots are open. And then Katie starts yelling, you let those girls in, and starts calling him creepy. And I am pulling away like, let's go, guys, this is not worth it. And they start arguing more. And I am getting so embarrassed because the doorman then pulls us out of the line. Then another group of girls goes to the front and they look behind our group and start laughing with the doorman. And after this, Katie starts bursting out crying. And I try to comfort Katie, but she tells me to leave. We end up going to another bar nearby, but the night was pretty much ruined. And afterwards, Katie didn't want me to come out the next day saying I didn't stand up to the doorman with her and Allie, and I cared more about my self-image than supporting them. And that me being silent, I was supporting misogyny and objectification of women. And she started then by standing in line in that spot, and it was basically like being the Rosa Parks for women. And I was like, look, I have been going out in New York for 9 years. You weren't going to change anything. At this point, Katie just left me on read. And I guess they started a new group chat without me. NTA, Katie refused to listen to any advice and then humiliated herself by pointlessly making a scene. It doesn't matter if this system of admission is the most misogynistic policy that has ever existed in the history of humanity. She ignored all the work you tried to do to keep the party away from exactly that system. The best way to defeat a system is to live your best life away from it. If she's Rosa Parks, she should have been thrilled to boycott the club. NTA. Unfortunately, that's exactly how a lot of the top-tier nightclubs are in the city. If you want to get in for free, you have to be looking like a model, basically, or know the right person. I don't like it either, which is why I don't go to these clubs. Also because gay AF and the dive bars are better anyway, lol. But that's how it is, and no amount of "that's misogynistic" complaining to the doorman is going to change it. You try to temper expectations and have a backup plan, but your friends wanted none of it. There's so many amazing places in NYC that don't require you to spend thousands of dollars or look like the stereotypical model girl to get in and have a great time anyway.